Hello, good evening, good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I'm Robbie Ellis, and thanks for coming to the pre-concert talk for this Rush Hour concert. We've got a string quartet recital today, and I have half the quartet on stage with me. At the far end, we've got the newest member of Kontras Quartet, second violinist Sherri Zhang, and then the oldest member is probably unfair to say, but the one who's been in the quartet the longest.
And maybe one of the oldest, too.
It's possible,
actually.
it's possible. Jean Hatmaker as well. So you have a lovely mix, you have a great mix of music today, mostly American, and some composers who we don't see come up all that often. A new addition to the program that I didn't see on the website is Terry Riley's, what's it called,
G-Song.
G-Song.
Surprise!
So, I've played a piece by Terry Riley called In C. He's fond of things with key signatures. I think the score for In C is just 70 odd little cells of music. You can play it on whatever instrument, in whatever octave, in whatever order, and you don't have to play the same as the person next to you. We just did it on Auckland's waterfront on a lovely summer's day. But tell us about G-Song.
Well, I think I wrote this in the program notes too, but it's a song about G minor. That's what it is. But it's obviously it's so much more than that, right? Unlike in C, which is about being in C major, one can suppose. This is basically a theme and variations. And it's through composed. So it's not cells that are sporadic. Every time we play it, presumably it should sound the same or similar. But it does have this sort of returning idea that comes again and again, like a canon. And so you're going to hear in G-Song a lot of basically like G minor scales, a lot of really like foundational gestures that establish a key area. And then wafting through that are some sort of like hints of jazzy kinds of lines, and then it gets weirder and weirder as we go, and it sort of deconstructs itself towards the end, and you think like, can you really call this G-Song anymore? It's sort of chaos music. And then it just finds its way back magically. It's really interesting. It's a fascinating journey.
And then the final piece on the program, Sherri, I'm going to have you talk about this a bit. It's the DVR, because you've got an important role besides playing the violin for this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I clap in this piece. Actually, I'm not the only one who claps. Jean also claps. Ben also claps, our violist. But this is such a cool, just think of it as jazz almost, jazz adjacent. It's just a party. But there is some deep, meaningful reasons behind the piece. Remind me of the name. Rosa Parks Quartet. So you can imagine.
Well, the composer DBR, it's his fifth string quartet, and all of his string quartets to date have been dedicated to or named for civil rights leaders. So Malcolm X, Dr. King, Maya Angelou, and Rosa Parks, number 5. But this movement is, it's definitely a joyful part of the wider piece.
Yeah, and strong.
Yeah.
Finding strength within, finding strength around us, with us, supporting each other in that way, definitely.
You're the newest member of Kontras Quartet. When did you join the group, and how did they come to bring you on, and what brought you to Chicago as well?
Yeah, I joined last October, so this will be my first season with Kontras, which is very exciting. I've bounced around. I did schooling in Boston and Cleveland, and I lived in DC for a while, and I'd always dreamed of living in Chicago, so I was like, you know what, we're gonna do it. We're just gonna move and just hope for the best. Luckily, this came about. I read with them. Immediately, it felt like just kind of family. It was so easy and so natural to play with the rest of the members of Kontras and just hang out. It was more than just, professional music making. It felt like, a really natural relationship. So it's been a journey, and it's been awesome, and I can't wait for what we have in store in the next couple seasons.
Can you reveal anything of what you have in store the next couple of seasons, or future upcoming things?
It's top secret.
Anything cool that's upcoming?
Oh, the ACM?
Access Contemporary
Yes,
Music? Yes.
that's
so
next season.
Seth Bosted's outfit. If some of you might know Seth Bosted as a promoter and composer and someone who talks about composers and new music. Yeah.
And we're also...
That's our season opener next year.
Yes. Yeah, and then we're also going to be playing right next door at Dree House in October, and we're doing master classes. We're maybe talking about recording again. Ooh, that was the secret. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
Jean, how about you plug the most recent album, Kontras's fifth or sixth or...
Technically fifth, although it's the second album of just Kontras Quartet.
Okay.
Oh man, what a long process. I think we started sort of teasing this in what, like 2022?
You had a concert here, either 22 or 23. I think you'd already recorded everything, and you and Francois, the previous second violinist, was like, yeah, we just have to get it through post-production, Do you know how much video I have on my hard drive that I just have to get through post-production? It's ridiculous. But all made of stories.
All made of stories. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this album, because we had such a long journey with it in post-production, it went through a lot of identity changes, frankly. And we finally landed on All Made of Stories after a long road of trying to figure out what we were going to call it. We were going to call it Folklore for a while, and then Taylor Swift and the Eras Tour, and we were like, we can't go with Folklore. It's going to be weird. So All Made of Stories felt like just basically what it is it's a musical heritage quilt. It's a lot of classical pieces that pay strong homage or even literal reference to folk music from around the world, which if you've been following us at all, you know is something that's very near and dear to our hearts. We love to draw out and put into relief the folk influences of our classical composers that we love, and also to find new ones, find new voices. So this album was really about, okay, we want to put out another album that really speaks to our values. We want at least one household name, so we chose Dvorak because Dvorak just comes up for us time and time again as a beloved figure of an exemplar of using folk music influence in a classical piece, and of course is a great success at that. His music is so lovely. So we started from Dvorak and we just radiated out, and we found pieces that either we had a personal relationship with, as in they were written for us, or that we felt just sort of honored that idea. And then it came together, and here we are now, finally, at last. It exists. You can go listen to it.
It's called All Made of Stories, and that segues nicely to the one composer on today's program who does feature on your most recent album, and the only non-American composer as well.
Non-American, yes. So, despite not being non-American, this music by Komitas, it's the Armenian Folk Songs that we're going to share with you tonight, fits into this program so beautifully because again, everything on this program really does draw from a certain point of origin, and a lot of it's American points of origin. But again, what is folk music if not providing a point of origin of a specific place and time? And it's very charismatic. It's very easy for it to fall into your heart. And so we've really, really enjoyed pairing these Komitas folk songs with just about everything we've been performing this season, because it just seems to fit in everywhere. They're these delightful little treasures, little nuggets. You can read about, I don't think I put the details of every song into the program notes, but you can certainly read about them in the All Made of Stories program notes on our website or on MSR Classics website if you want to know what all the songs are about.
And the major piece on the program, it's by, he's just kind of an odd guy, Charles Ives. There's kind of no other way to put it, but this music is his string quartet number 1. There are lots of like really plain New Englandy hymn tunes involved, a little bit of a Salvation Army influence. It's really open. I think that the best way of putting it is just open music.
That's interesting. I like that a lot, actually, because I think it gets your brain in the right headspace. And you have to think about it like those artists who make, picture, if you will, the visual artists who use collage to create a new form of something, but then you look up really close to it and you're like, wait, this is from like a laundry detergent advertisement, or this is from an article about something. So what Ives does is he's creating these a very traditional, structurally, string quartet. But within that, you get like a shard of Stand Up for Jesus, or a shard of Nettleton, or a shard of, like, tunes that my mother knows, that many people might recognize if they're churchgoers or they just know hymns in the vernacular. But you never get a whole statement. It'll be just like a little blink of it, and then he moves on to something else crazy and bombastic, and he felt at liberty to, because that wasn't his day job.
Yeah, he worked in the insurance industry as an executive, and that kept his livelihood just fine. Jean, I am going to go back to you once more, sorry, because we have a story to share from about 10 months ago.
We are all made of stories, you and me,
We
Robbie.
are all made of stories, yes. Lovely tie-in to your album again. But I'm going to set the scene. It was 9:30 on a Saturday morning. You were on the couch, and I text you.
What was it, September?
August.
It was August.
Yeah.
Okay.
My day job is at WFM. My it's out of battery. Yeah, there we are. So there's a program on WFMT called Introductions that features young performers. It goes to air every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. This young performer was a cellist in August last year, and he arrives at the studio. He opens his cello case, and the bridge of the cello, sorry, not the bridge, the fingerboard, excuse me, the fingerboard of the cello had come unglued from the instrument and was just sitting, rattling free in the case. This was 90 minutes before a live broadcast. I'm going to cut to your perspective here, Jane.
So it's true. I was sitting on the couch with my husband. We were watching probably PBS or something and making a plan for our day. It was very lucky, in fact, that I was home, because I got this text from Robbie that was just basically like, panic, we've had an emergency at the station. It's like, I think you live close, maybe question. And I think you followed up with a call as well, because I was like, I don't know. Anyways, so he's like, we've had this situation. Is there any chance that you're home and around and we could borrow a cello from you? And I was like, okay. I looked at my watch. I was like, the station's like 40 minutes away. I'll be there in 30. I was going through my Rolodex of cellists and where I think they might live. I think Alexander Hirsch technically lives closer, but I couldn't get hold of him. He wasn't watching TV.
Yeah. That guy's too busy. He never rests. Other student cellists, but no. Thank you again, Jean, for answering the call. You got to the station, I want to say 10:28, and we started the broadcast on time at 11 o'clock. This guy getting used to the cello, and I think he liked your cello more than his own. Yeah. All right. So a quick little notice about upcoming concerts from Classical Music Chicago. Tomorrow's Dame Myra Hess concert, which is at the 17th Church of Christ Scientist at Wabash and Wacker, is from pianist Ka Young Ahn. She's playing Bach, Brahms, Schumann, and Gershwin. That's Schumann, Robert. But next week we have Schumann, Clara, 3 of her pieces plus both Brahms viola sonatas with Matthew Lipman and Victor Santiago Asuncion. Next week's concert, the Debbie Sobel Memorial Concert here in the Rush Hour concert series, it promises to be a really great event. Please join me in thanking I'm mixing up your names, Sherri Zhang, Jean Hatmaker, and the concert starts at 5:45. Welcome to the Rush Hour concert series, hosted in partnership with St. James Cathedral. I'm Robbie Ellis. Rush Hour concerts are made possible through the generosity of the Illinois Arts Council Agency, the Irving Harris Foundation, and contributions from individual donors. And now to play the music of Terry Riley, Charles Ives, Komitas, and DBR, please welcome the Kontras Quartet, Eleanor Bartsch, Sherri, Zhang, Ben Weber, and Gene Hatmaker.
Thank you.